right. Episode 30, right?
Episode 30, dude.
Okay, here we go, right? Boom.
Episode 30 of Vomiting Rainbows. This is exciting. We're live on Instagram. And, this is Vomiting Rainbows, a darker newscast where I tell my buddy Mike some stories that he knows nothing about and the news barely touches. And in the end, he vomits them right back at me.
That's right. Dark news, man.
Dark news.
Are we the only dark news podcast? Got to be one of a handful, right?
I feel like we're the biggest by far.
Definitely the biggest.
Yeah. Dude, do you know where Broken Arrow is? Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
I've been to Oklahoma before.
What'd you go to Oklahoma for?
What did I go to Oklahoma for? I was in. I was on a motorcycle ride.
Oh, right. You're
the breast cancer awareness ride. Yeah. I don't think I stopped by Broken Arrow.
You did not stop by. Well, you know it because it's where Bluebell is. You know the ice cream company.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're there, and it's also where Zach Peters is.
Actually, dude, I was on Route 66. Different ride.
Different ride.
Yeah.
That was a Carson Daly thing.
Yeah.
And what was that one?
That was just going through Route 66.
Yeah, you were doing the historic Route 66 ride.
Yeah.
And you guys were like all on Harleys. And
we stopped
sponsored by Harley.
We stopped off in Oklahoma City, which is cool. I mean, it's a pretty cool city.
What was cool about it?
It sounds horrible, but the Oklahoma City, like the bombings, the memorial there.
Yeah.
It's man, I mean, it's the memorial is so powerful. It's really it's something to see. I mean, whoever designed that memorial. I know it's kind of it's a dark news podcast.
Well, yeah, of course.
But whoever designed that memorial, I mean, it's very moving and very creepy and very like.
What's it even look like?
They have these. If I remember correctly, this was a long time ago. They have like a pond of the footprint of where the building was.
Oh.
So basically, like, say the building stood on like a city block.
Right.
The whole city block is gone.
Right.
Because of the bombing, and then I think where the footprint of the building was, there's this pond, and then they have like an open arch of where like the outline of the building was.
Right.
And then so it's like a giant park now, and then they have like these kind of, if I remember right, these like kind of stone chairs.
Okay.
And they're all lined up, and it's kind of like gravestones, and it's all the people that to represent all the people that were killed.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And then on the outside around the sidewalk, they have like these kind of billboards or whatever, kind of explaining what happened, like a timeline of what went on. There's a lot of symbolism like built into like where things are positioned, and I remember being overwhelmed by it. And like it's hard to go there and not be like completely like emotionally moved. Even if you're really not familiar or don't really know what happened there, it's like it's really powerful. Definitely one of the more kind of emotional moments I had during that trip.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah,
I mean that was, it rocked the country.
Yeah, in Oklahoma City, I mean, just in general, the people of Oklahoma are really cool. But the thing that's crazy about Oklahoma City is it's a cool city. It's super clean, really well laid out. But Oklahoma's like such a weird place because there's just like tornadoes. Like people just live in constant fear of like horrible, crappy weather.
Right.
Like it's just it's not that nice there as far as the weather goes.
Right.
And it's just like the storm will blow in, rain, hail, thunder, lightning, like worse weather than you could ever experience in Northern California, and it'll come through like in an hour.
Right.
And people act like it's no big deal. They're just like, oh yeah, like, hey man, you better not, you better pull over and get some cover, otherwise you're gonna get whacked by. Yeah, like seriously. Or like, hey man, why don't you guys stay here? I remember this CHP officer came up to us and said, where are you guys headed? And he's like, stay here for like 45 minutes. There's a storm coming through where you guys are headed, and there's golf ball size hail, and it will literally like knock you off your motorcycle.
I love that the CHP is in Oklahoma.
Yeah, or whoever it was. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Whatever their highway patrol is.
They were just following you from California. They're like, dude, we got to follow this guy, Mike.
Yeah.
Where's he going? Across the country. We'll stay with him.
Yeah. So whatever their highway patrol or whatever their law enforcement is.
OCP.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's crazy. I mean, softball size hail is not rare out there in Oklahoma, and it destroys cars. Like you see cars that it looks like someone just took a sledgehammer to. And they're like, oh yeah, that was the hail.
Yeah.
I mean, and these people stay there and they love it and they live there, and I'm like, you people are out of your mind. People say Californians are crazy.
Right.
That's insanity. So anyway, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So there's this guy, Zach Peters, who's a 23-year-old. He's a private pilot. He works for 2 local airlines as a scheduler.
Mm-hmm.
He is also in criminal justice at a local community college. He was at home around 12:30 p.m. and he heard glass break in his house. Immediately, what would you do?
Grab my gun.
Yep. He grabbed his AR-15 assault rifle. It's a military rifle that was meant to take on the AK-47 in combat. He went downstairs. He found 3 teenagers, 16 to 18, holding knives and brass knuckles. Not good. He exchanged some words with them. No, he did not say exactly what those words are. But I'm guessing it's something like you picked the wrong house.
Yeah.
And then opened fire.
Oh, wow.
He killed all 3. One was able to make it to the garage before succumbing to his injuries. A 21-year-old, Elizabeth Marie Rodriguez, turned herself in later. She was
the getaway driver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also the planner behind this.
Mm.
She sped away from the scene when she heard gunshots, actually knew the homeowner by name.
Wow.
They don't know exactly how she knew the homeowner, but...
Yeah, this is the thing. Like in California, you can break into a house with bats and brass knuckles, because chances are they're not going to have a gun here because of the gun laws in California.
Right.
But in Oklahoma, dude, I mean, that's a pretty... You can buy a lot of heavy, guns. Like,
yeah,
you just go buy them. Like, they're not as restrictive in California. So, I mean, I think if you're going to be a thief in Oklahoma, you bring guns into the house. Like,
yeah. These guys were obviously ill-prepared for their break-in.
Listen to us, like, judging the thieves.
Yes.
Well, what are they thinking?
What are they thinking? They should have been more prepared. Here's what they should have had.
Yeah.
So she turned herself in, admitted to masterminding the robbery because she said she was distraught and wanted to inform the parents of the children's murders, or the teenagers' murders.
Now, this guy, the thing that a lot of people don't realize is if you shoot people in your house, even in self-defense, I mean, there's a lot of gray area there as far as, your liability. I mean,
Yeah.
you can still have, like, civil lawsuits come against you. You can still be charged with murder.
Yeah.
I mean, it really has to be really clearly defined that your life was threatened, or that you felt threatened, or they were about to attack you. I mean, 3 dudes with weapons, that sounds like a justifiable situation. But I know for a fact, like, even up in Lake County, there was a story where these guys broke in the house to steal these weed.
Right.
Plants of weed.
Plants of
what
weed.
am I trying to say?
The marijuana.
Yeah, exactly. And these guys broke in the house. They baseball batted this dude's son in the head.
Ooh.
And the father woke up, found out what was going on, shot these, took out a shotgun, started shooting these guys. One of the guys was running away.
Right.
He shot him in the back, and that guy went to jail because the guy wasn't threatening his life. He was running away in fear.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is it's very when somebody starts to retreat, in a lot of places they say at that point you cannot use deadly force.
Yeah, that's why, I mean, and there's, I've gone through all types of, training. If you're gonna, number one, if you pull your gun out, you better shoot it. And it's not the kind of thing you pull out and go, hey man, you basically, hey man, my life's threatened. If you keep coming at me, I'm armed and I'm gonna shoot you. And then you do it. You don't, if you feel threatened, you don't sit there and, I'll shoot you in your knee. It's like, no, you use deadly force because you feel like the person's gonna kill you.
Well, I mean, they had just broken through when they were doing a home invasion.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, they had cased this house several times.
Is this guy facing charges? I guess that's my question.
No, at this point, there's no charges against him. But again, they're investigating the crime scene. So if they investigate it and find that maybe one of these guys has a bullet in his back, then that could bring into question. But it's not like this guy woke up and was like, I'm going to kill people. He was getting robbed.
Well, and the other thing, too, is, I mean, imagine the adrenaline, right? Like, you hear someone breaking your house, you go downstairs, you grab your weapon, You see 3 dudes where they have weapons. You don't know if a guy has a gun in his
Weapons, not only weapons, but they also had masks on.
Yeah, so you don't know if they have guns in their pockets. Like,
Exactly.
are you gonna sit around and wait till they
No.
pull a gun? No, you're gonna be shooting people.
Exactly, and the other thing is this whole neighborhood was on high alert anyway, because they had several home invasions prior to this.
Yeah.
So they were aware, and neighbors had actually seen this car driving up and down the neighborhood, kind of casing.
Yeah.
So they were aware that something was going on. So all the neighbors had been talking and saying like, this car's suspicious. Like, we got to watch these people.
Yeah.
On 2 separate occasions, 3 teens, the neighbor had seen the teen, all 4 of the people driving by.
Yeah.
And had alerted the neighborhood watch about this. They obviously were up to no good, but the other thing is the girl Elizabeth, 21-year-old, is facing 3 counts of felony murder. And that's because anytime you in the commission of a crime, no matter who is killed, the robbers or the victim, you're responsible for all the deaths.
She's the ringleader.
She's the ringleader.
Man.
Yeah.
And is this just a random dude? I mean, did he have like specific things in the house that these guys wanted? I mean, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
it doesn't seem like that.
was he like posting up pictures of his AR-15 on Facebook? Like, dude, let's go steal that
Let's
gun.
go. We can totally use the AR-15.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like anything of that nature. It was more of a crime of opportunity, and they don't seem like the brightest bunch. So they were probably just hoping he was gone, maybe.
Yeah.
And he probably had a regular schedule and was off that day. I don't know. But
it just, this is the thing is to me, if I go in my criminal mind, right, like robbing someone's house to me just seems so crazy. Like I guess if I was a criminal, like I would definitely be like a street thug. Like I would definitely rob people in the streets.
right.
Like just pistol whip them, grab their money, be gone. You know what I mean? But I can't imagine like when you get in someone's house, that's like that's crazy to me because you're leaving evidence. There's more people that can see you. It's like, there could be people with guns in the house that you don't know about.
Right.
When you walk down the street of San Francisco and you see people, buried in their smartphone, I mean, like, if anyone listening to this wants an easy place to rob people, San Francisco,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a gold mine. It's just rich people walking around not paying attention to their surroundings.
I would. We're not endorsing that.
We're not endorsing that. No, not at all. But you know what I'm talking
Right.
about. To me, to break into someone's house.
And that, by the way, that's been going on in San Francisco. People have been running up, just punching people while they're looking down, and like grabbing their smartphone and running off.
Yeah. To me, like that's weird. Like, why would you grab their? To me, it's like grab their smartphone.
Yeah, but now almost every single smartphone is remotely disabled.
Smash and grab. But to me, to get back to my point is when you break in someone's house, like you are violating like their sanctity. Like you are taking that criminal act of robbery to like such an evasive level.
Right.
Robbing someone on the street or getting robbed in general is horrible and demeaning and degrading and frightening and can really mess someone up.
Right.
But when you break in their house, I mean that's like next level. Like,
I mean, and it's completely full of unknowns.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Like if you're going into a place, you have no idea. Do they have an alarm? Do they have like an attack dog?
Yeah.
An attack parrot?
Totally,
who knows?
some crazy.
Yeah, there could be crazy shit going on in there.
So the chick is facing 3 counts of murder. The guy seems like it's all self-defense.
Well, this is the other thing. So Oklahoma has this law which is notorious called the Make My Day law.
Yeah.
Which is, when somebody comes into your house, at that point you can use deadly force no matter what.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so if they're breaking into your house, deadly force is allowed.
Yeah,
and they have like a whole. I read the law, and it basically says, the problem is when they walk out of your house.
Yeah.
And they're in your yard, that's different. But when they're inside the house, that's
it's game on.
It's game on.
Crazy. But see, that's the thing. Like you think like, okay, cool. That's quote unquote cool. But the fact is, this dude just like shot 3 people in his kitchen. Like that dude, like that's gonna mess a dude up. I don't care how this guy's life could be ruined. Because psychologically, it's like I just had to kill 3 people in my house. Like.
Well, and he's not only is he a victim of a robbery, now he's got to go through probably the trauma of dealing with. I mean, this guy wants to be a pilot and a criminal justice attorney or whatever. I mean, he's in that field, but I doubt at any point he was wanting to ever assault someone with his
Of course,
gun.
yeah.
I mean, protection, yeah, but never kill someone.
Yeah. But, I mean, hey, you know, this could have been one of those stories where, you know, this guy was lit on fire by 3 dudes that broke into his house. So, you know, it is what it is.
Exactly. So you never know what's going to happen. But,
in Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma. And so next we'll go to a lovely girl named Madison from Tulsa, Oklahoma. She's 21. She was wanted for shooting a man in the head and a woman in the shoulder at a Walgreens.
Jesus.
They both survived. And 3 cops chased her when she was pulled over, and she shot at the police and then tried to run. Guess where she had just left? I mean, this is for your detective, Mike.
Man, she was at Walmart, you said.
Walgreens,
I'm sorry. She was at Walgreens when she shot these people, and she had just left church?
Yeah, church.
Really?
No. Oh. She had just left a drug treatment facility and was in rehab.
You're not supposed to have guns when you go into rehab. Isn't that like one of the main things to take all your earthly possessions?
Yeah.
How'd she get a gun?
No idea.
Yeah.
And so Officer Grafton, a 6-year veteran of the Tulsa Police Department, pulled his car over the curb to protect the 2 officers that were getting shot at, and ran over Madison.
Oh, ran over the chick.
Yeah.
There's got to be video footage of this.
Yeah, there is.
It's got to be gnarly.
It is not pleasant.
Yeah. So is Madison, she's dead?
She's gone.
Yeah.
She is no longer with us.
Wow.
Madison, she was fatally injured by Officer Grafton, who is a 6-year veteran of the Tulsa Police Department. In September of 2015, Madison was arrested for attempting to steal a police car after she was handcuffed. She was successful at driving the police car away.
With handcuffs on?
All the way back to her parents' house.
It always amazes me. You see pictures of like videos of the people who can like put their legs through their hips. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like I'm always like, man, I wish I could be that flexible. Like it seems like if you're physically capable of doing something that athletic and you're that flexible, you should be doing something else with your life. You should be like a professional athlete. Like you should be a ballet dancer or something.
Exactly. Except for drugs are bad.
Yeah. Drugs derail you.
Drugs derail that career. So she had been initially pulled over for stealing a car, and then successfully drove the police car to her mother's house. She was still cuffed when they got to her parents' house.
Isn't that everyone's fantasy though? Is just to be able to drive a police car around?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just
turn
the sirens on. And
I don't know if that's the scenario you want to be driving the police car around in.
It's true.
True.
But the police should do like a public outreach day where they get cop cars on like an open course.
Right.
Where you can pay like, I don't know, man, like do a fundraiser for like some like homeless kids or something, like where you pay like $500 and you just get to tear it up in the police car for 20 minutes.
Dude, so I went flying. You know I'm a pilot, so I flew into Half Moon Bay.
Yeah.
And they were, and Half Moon Bay is where they train the police officers how to do high-speed pursuits on the closed section of the runway. And I was walking down there, and the head of the training department was like, "Hey, want to go for a ride?"
Really?
And I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And so we went. He took me on a high-speed pursuit, and then he dropped me at the like little place over. But it was awesome.
Yeah.
And I got to sit behind the car as they did the pit maneuver on the lead car. So he was following behind, seeing how successful they were.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I have a video on my Instagram.
Yeah. Check that. Give out your Instagram. So
well, if you're watching this, it's on my Instagram.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
It's on what you're watching.
Exactly. So that was really cool.
So that's the best thing that you've gotten out of being a pilot, right?
Probably, yeah. I would say that's the best thing. That was really, really cool. By the way, when that girl was arrested, they brought a special police car for problem people with a like a full cage,
Yeah.
and she was taken to jail in that one. So she had a
History. Yeah.
of not being.
That's pretty gnarly though, man. To take someone out with your car. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's pretty.
I can imagine that's got to be traumatic as well.
Well, think about the dude who has to clean that, right?
Oof.
You know what I mean? Like the private or whatever, the rookie cop that's like, hey, dude, you're on
Yeah, and they have a snapshot of right before she was hit, and she's like.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right?
But the best is they took the snapshot and they have her with her gun up in the air.
Yeah.
So it was like.
But that's the thing, right? I mean, like people, it seems like a lot of criminals and most people, they don't think like the cops are going to do something like that. They're there to protect and serve. They wouldn't run over me. It's like, well, yeah, if you have a gun, you're shooting at cops, they're going to run over your ass.
Once you start using deadly force.
Yeah. People are always shocked. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe they ran over. They didn't need to do that. It's like, what are you? She didn't need to take a gun and start shooting at the cops.
Exactly. I mean,
Crazy.
she got pulled over for a warrant. She wasn't even in a stolen vehicle. She could have just faced those charges, but drugs.
Yep. Bad.
Yeah. Her best friend told the newspaper, deep down, she's just a really good person. Drugs got the best of her. The enemy got the best of her.
The enemy.
The enemy. So yeah, that was good times in Oklahoma.
Good times. Two stories out of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Today. Huh.
And then our final story is one that the Daily Mail calls incredible story of revenge. Valerie Mcdaniel, a 49-year-old respected veterinarian out of Texas, and her husband Mac McDaniel were going through a contentious and rough divorce, fighting over custody of their daughter, and she owed her ex an astounding $1.25 million to settle their estate.
Wow. Who are these people? Where is this out of?
Out of Texas.
Texas. Wow.
Yeah. So they were two veterinarians. They were very well respected and had a very prosperous business.
Yeah.
It doesn't say this, but I'm guessing that they decided to split all their assets, and she decided she wanted to keep the business and had to buy him out of the business. So I'm guessing it was an extremely profitable business.
Yeah.
If 1.25 was her share of it.
It sounds like a lot of money. Then you start thinking about housing in San Francisco, and you're like, that's like a house. Like, okay, like, yeah.
And if she wanted to keep the house and the business and like the share of that, you're probably like, oh, that's kind of reasonable.
Yeah.
And she'd probably be able to pay that off after a certain period of time.
Yeah.
Leon Jacob, a 39-year-old medical residency student, also suffering crippling debt after a divorce, met Valerie, and they totally began to commiserate over this.
Sure.
Like their exes and being done wrong. Leon Jacob had left a trail of failed jobs. He was not a very talented doctor. He was told that several times. He was kicked out of every program.
See, that's what's amazing. Like the guy is a doctor, so he passed some board, right?
Right.
He got his PhD, yet he like is it just?
Well, he got his boards. He passed his boards.
But my point is like is he just a bad businessman? Does he just you know what I mean? Did he just cheat his way through school? Like how does somebody become a doctor and suck?
Well, residents expressed concerns about his unavailability, his tardiness, his lack of communication, and total misrepresentations to them. So in other words, he was lying all the time.
Yeah.
And he logged hours in the operating room almost more than any other resident that he worked with. So he was really trying to be a surgeon.
Yeah.
And he wanted to do retinal surgery. He fell short on his studies. He started cutting back his work, his skills, and his studying. He started just focusing on that to get past his boards.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he was found to be an immediate threat to patient safety.
Well, thank God they found him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's a lot of doctors out there that are kind of like, I don't really remember this. Yeah. You know, the thing is, that's why I think surgeons and stuff, they work in teams. Like, there's a whole bunch of people there.
Yeah.
So, like, if a dude's like, like, they're doing open heart surgery, and the guy's like, dude, what aorta do I cut? The other guy's like, do that one. You know what I mean? Like, they kind of help each other out.
Yeah, they
It's a lot
probably.
to remember. I've seen medical books, man. The stuff that surgeons have to know. That's like I don't know how those guys remember all that stuff.
Well, I mean, there's a whole team around the room, but
Yeah.
like he is the focal point.
Yeah,
I
but I'm
mean-
sure like if some guy's like sitting there and like and forgets, like he's doing brain surgery, he's like, what lobe do I stick this thing in? Like some other guy's like just the left one, I think, and they
Yeah,
go, okay,
yeah.
everyone left. Quick,
Right.
quick vote. Okay,
Where did he mark it?
Yeah, exactly.
You've done. Have you ever had a surgery where you have to mark?
Yeah.
That's disconcerting. You're like, this leg.
Yeah, it happens. People cut off the wrong legs and stuff.
Yeah,
man.
it does. Or they operate on the wrong leg and they get in. They're like, this looks fine.
Yeah. What's going on? Oh.
That's never good.
Yeah.
So he, his former head of residency, let him go and then told him he needed to seek immediate psychiatric help.
A lot of pressure being a doctor, man. A lot of those people develop weird complexes.
Yeah, well, they say it's a God complex
Yeah.
because they are holding people's lives in their hands.
And they are.
They start to get like this superiority complex.
They think they can't fail, and then they do, and then they think Satan's,
Who
in
knows?
their mind.
He appealed that head of residency's decision, but he lost that. And then, what would you do if you lost that appeal from a doctor or your
Like a
head?
hospital?
Yeah.
You go apply it someplace where like the healthcare totally sucks. You go to like someplace like New Mexico where like they barely have hospitals, and you become like a hero there because like you know how to stitch somebody up.
Well, he burglarized their home.
Well, there you go. Or that. You can
Right.
also do that.
Yeah. So his ex, he was getting divorced from, they had 2 daughters. Filed numerous stalking and domestic abuse charges against him.
Jeez.
So he's winning all around.
Yeah, just a creep. Well, there's a lesson to be learned here. I think as a society, we put a lot of faith in doctors. We feel like, we kind of put them on a pedestal, right? But they're
Right.
just people, man.
They're just
I love,
people.
like, I have a doctor, man. I love him because he's just like, he's like laid back, kind of admits like he doesn't really know what's going on. Like he's like, you're old, dude. You're getting old. That's why your back hurts. You're old.
I don't know what to tell you, dude. You're
Yeah,
old.
exactly. Pretty much.
Yeah. Take some aspirin.
Yeah.
Call me if it gets worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like if you start bleeding or
Yeah.
swelling, then it
If
might
your
be
eye
something.
pops out, come see me.
Totally.
Right. So what do you think these 2 distraught lovebirds decided to do?
Well, you said earlier it's revenge, so it's got to be something over the top. They decided to burn down the hospital. Am I close?
No.
Blow up the hospital?
No.
No. Start their own hospital?
Yeah, right. That would have been the smartest thing.
Yeah.
A veterinarian / people hospital.
Yeah.
You bring your dog and you get fixed for the same
Well,
thing.
that's the thing, isn't that what they say? Like the underground doctors, like if you get shot and you're a criminal, you go to the vet.
Yeah, you go to the vet. I've seen Breaking Bad.
Yeah, that's why there's a lot of animal hospitals around the Bay
Right.
Area.
Exactly. Mostly in Oakland.
Yeah, it's true.
No, they decided to meet a police informant at an Olive Garden.
Yeah, baby.
As you do, by the Buffalo Raceway. I don't know, Buffalo Speedway. And they had plans. Both had plans to have the hitmen kill their exes.
Yeah. See, this is the thing: is that you have to at least be on the internet, watch Geraldo, watch some of these Jerry Springer things. The hitman thing never works.
No,
it never works.
Forensic Files is like one right after the
Yeah.
other.
If you want someone dead, you have to be willing to do the dirty work yourself.
I think so.
You have to.
You have to.
I mean,
you can't have anyone else involved. And by
Yeah.
the way, if you do commit that crime, you know what you don't do? Tell your friend about it.
Yeah.
Or go to a bar and start getting drunk, or marry someone and then start blabbing to them about it.
Yeah. I mean, if you killed somebody in revenge, I mean, that's definitely going to be one of the more intense things you probably ever do in your life. Like you strangle someone to death or whatever. Probably really hard not to tell somebody about it.
And not only that, you probably immediately regret it. So
Sure.
And there's all this remorse going through your head, probably afterwards, and then you're like, oh, I'll tell someone.
Yeah, because it'll help me alleviate my guilt. No.
People who are watching this now are like, stay away from Mike and Doug.
Yeah. Well, really, what you have to do is you have to get a good plan, execute yourself, and then cut out your own tongue.
Right. Exactly. Or take that. What's the memory pill from that Eternal Sunshine?
Yeah. Where you just erase your memory.
Yeah.
And think it was a dream or something. It's really when I was probably when I was in high school and maybe even into my early 20s, I used to have a reoccurring dream that I had buried somebody.
Ooh.
Like, it wasn't necessarily that I killed them and buried them, but like I'd buried a body, and I would always, like, we moved around like every 2 years,
Right.
and I remember, like, in the dream, like, I would get a call from somebody from a town that I used to live in,
Uh-huh.
and they would be like, "Hey, did you used to live at this property?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." And like, "Well, the current owners just, like, excavated the concrete patio, and they found bones."
And that was in your dream?
Yeah, and
wow.
and they want to question you, and I'd always be like, I would always feel guilt and panic in my dream. Like, I'd be like, "Oh, that's right. Like, I buried that person." Like,
Oh my God.
you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I wasn't really sure, like, how, like, I wasn't really sure, like, if I killed them or whatever. But it would be this reoccurring dream. And then for a while, I was like, did I do something horrible as a kid and, like, have, like, some weird repressed memory that's just, like, surfacing of, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I'm sure I didn't kill somebody and bury them. I can say that
But
with.
do you secretly want to go back and check that patio?
Well, see, the reason why I know there's no truth in it is because it would be like different places. Like,
Right.
the other dream, it would be like a creek that I used to play at.
Right.
And but it would always be like someone getting in touch with me and be like, "Hey, did you live in this area around this time? Like, we want to question you about, these bones that we found." And then, like, in my dream, the emotion I'd feel would be like panic and guilt, and it'd be like, oh, and it'd be like me in my dream
Right.
remembering, like, "Oh yeah, that's right. Like, I buried that body." What a weird dream to have, right? What does that even mean?
Right.
Like, I mean, obviously, maybe it's
But
like,
it was reoccurring. So
it was reoccurring. So
but-
obviously, I had some kind of event happen that I have deep-rooted guilt about that I got over sometime in my 20s.
I think it was probably. I think we all know what that is.
What's that?
Grandma.
Oh my God. Maybe it could be. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Maybe.
it's grandma.
Yeah.
Anyway, but just to give everybody a little context, Mike's grandmother got hurt and she was calling out for some assistance, and Mike went back to sleep.
Yeah.
And
I was young.
He was young.
I was young.
It
I was like 12.
It was a hard time, but apparently it left some mental scars with you.
It's possible. Isn't that weird though, man?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's
is-
disturbing.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of disturbing dreams and a lot of, like, kind of weird reoccurring kind of, emotional kind of thoughts and triggers throughout my life. But that's definitely one that, like, like I said, you what were we talking about? Oh yeah, if you kill somebody.
Yeah.
That's right.
So anyway, what these two dudes decided to do is Jacob wanted his ex bound and gagged and delivered to him.
See, this is another thing. He's getting too complicated. He's
Yeah.
getting too specific. He's making demands. Like,
Right.
you want somebody gone, that's it.
Yeah.
You don't sit there and go like, "Well, I want to torture him for a half hour, and then I want you to come back and get rid of the body, and
Yeah.
I want you to put him in a straitjacket and hit him with a bat and burn
Yeah.
a brand of, a pentagram on their forehead, and then I want you to deliver him in my garage." Like,
Yeah.
no, dude. Like, no. Don't get fancy. This is in the movies.
Then he wanted to give her a fatal dose of potassium, which would stop her heart.
What?
Yeah. And then McDaniel, on the other hand, she just wanted her husband to look like the victim of a carjacking.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's-
The whole overdose of potassium. I mean, like, what, like, and that's a guy who's like, he's just into science. Like, he didn't win, like, the science fair as a high school student. So he's
Yeah.
trying to, like, get all, like, clever.
Yeah, and this guy obviously, this guy sounds like, what I think the family was trying to say at the later was that this mother who was going through the divorce was influenced unduly by this guy Jacob because she was so distraught and felt like her life was at its end.
Yeah, I don't think killing other people
Never
puts
did.
your life back
No,
together. It might
doesn't.
feel good. I mean, listen, we've all felt the need for revenge, and we've all wanted vengeance. And it emotionally, at the time, it might seem like a good idea, but even doing things like egging an ex's house or writing stuff on their car or smashing their windows in, like, it doesn't change anything. It
No.
doesn't really change how you feel. It doesn't. I mean, I've had all that stuff done to me, and it didn't change how I felt about the girl. Like, it's just
No.
like, okay, like, now I gotta clean up my house. Like,
Yeah,
whatever. Like,
exactly. This is
we're
not.
it's not bringing
that-
us back
yeah,
together. Like,
it's definitely not going to be a positive in any way.
Yeah.
They were both shown fake photos of proof of the crimes, and when they were then, they both agreed on an amount, which was $20,000, not for both, each.
Yeah.
And so they were paying this once they handed over the money. They were both arrested. Jacob was denied bail, but McDaniel was given $50,000 bail, and her husband immediately went into hiding.
$20,000 seems like a lot of money to pay to kill somebody.
But I think on the reciprocal, we've had a lot of these dark stories, and some of them have been like $1,000.
That's what I mean. Like to me, if I wanted to get someone murdered, I think I could do that for.
You bargain shop on this.
I'm saying I think I could do it for under $3,000, pretty easily. Like not without trying too hard.
Just go to the Tenderloin.
I just think that there's people out there that if you said, hey man, here's $1,500, this is what I want you to do. Bring me back their hand, and I'll give you another $1,500. I think that could happen within a half hour. Like I don't think walk around the streets of San Francisco, you could find the guy that would do that pretty easily.
Yeah,
I don't think you need to set things up and have meetings or even like, spend that much money.
Right.
I think it's pretty much as simple as going. You trust me. If you walk around the streets of San Francisco, you'll see this guy every 10 blocks. You'll see the guy that'll do this. You go up to him. Here's $1,500. Follow me. I'm going to point this person out. Meet me in Union Square with this duffel bag. Put his hand in it, and I'll give you another $1,500.
Sounds like you've thought about this.
Well, I'm just saying, just $20,000.
Mike, I'm going to slowly back out of it.
But $20,000, that's crazy.
His name is Doug.
Yeah, but $20,000, that's ridiculous.
So she went back to her apartment. She wrote 2 notes and then proceeded to jump off of her balcony. It seems like her husband was absolutely right. She had nothing to lose. He said he feared if he had stayed in his home, he would have fallen victim to her desperate mental state.
And what happened to like the slow poisoning? You know what I mean? Like the slow death, like the calculated like.
Yeah, but again,
people have no patience anymore. We live in the internet age. Everyone wants to suppress the like. Everything wants everything resolved super quick. There's no patience in it. Like This lady could have said, let's try to work this out, and slowly killed him over like 5 years.
Yeah. So I'm
got him like a nice heroin habit or something.
Right, but I'm curious now if because they did this crime together, I'm wondering if Jacob's going to be liable for her death as well. Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, at this point, this guy's life is ruined because he watched too much TV and didn't listen to enough good podcasts like this one.
The ones that tell them both, don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. This is a bad idea.
Maybe go see a psychiatrist.
Yeah, get some help. Take that. If you have $20,000 to spend on getting someone killed, you probably have $20,000 to invest in yourself and do some self-improvement.
Yeah, like take a vacation to Cancun.
Yeah.
Just chill out on the beach for a bit. Have a couple of margaritas.
Yeah.
Maybe meet somebody there, and you'll forget about it.
Yeah, get a prostitute or something. Just, you know what I mean? Like, get over it. Get over your ex. Go to Vegas. Go to Sin City. Have a $10,000 weekend.
I was watching YouTube last night, as I do, and I watched Russell Brand talking to Chelsea Handler, and he was saying he confessed that he was a sex addict, and she was like, "What do you think caused you to be a sex addict?" And he goes, "It might have been the fact that when he turned 17 or 18, his dad took him to a brothel, and he immediately fell in love with the first girl that he met there, and then, as he said, she left me, as prostitutes do."
Yeah. I know people who dad. That's how they were introduced to female carnal flesh. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty. That's like an old school thing, man. That's like a real thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely some father-son bonding. That's definitely like a pretty unique, experience.
Is that what your dad did with you?
No, absolutely not. No. Thank God.
Yeah.
But I do have friends that's how they lost their virginity.
Ooh. Not good.
Yeah. This is different. I don't judge.
Right.
I don't judge, Doug.
No, we don't judge.
We don't judge.
We assess.
Yes.
So that's it. That's our episode 30, an epic episode 30.
Yeah.
So follow us at contact at vomitingrainbows.com, and then of course send us emails to contact@vomitingrainbows.com, mostly to Mike. See if he's okay. Check in on him, and then follow us on We Vomit Rainbows on all social media, Instagram, Twitter, and then Facebook. Also, you know, send us your comments. Please like us on iTunes and follow us there.
Right.
Sweet.
Quick intro, yo. Here we go.
Episode 30, Vomiting Rainbows. This is an exciting one. We talk about Oklahoma.
Self-defense.
Self-defense, and then not self-defense, and what to do in a breakup.
Yeah, and how not to get vengeance.
So enjoy.